Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we will be talking about the biggest fear of a property manager or a landlord. Believe it or not, it's not about running in your pajamas at 3 a.m. to fix a broken toilet, like we all joke about, but we will be talking about eviction. If you have done your homework and you are here watching this video, so I salute you for that, you should be ready to deal with this situation without any issues. Hi, this is Lavinia with Top Notch Property Management, and today we will be talking all about eviction. An eviction, it's a legal process in which a landlord or a representative removes a tenant from the property for violating some of the lease terms. And those terms could be non-payment of the rent, breach of lease like letting someone move in without permission, keeping an unauthorized pet, illegal activities like noise violation or drugs, intentionally damaging the property. Can you imagine if somebody would actually vandalize your property for no reason? Or just because they don't like you? Yes, there are people like this, and that's a reason to file for an eviction. Another reason can be when the lease expired and the tenant had such a good time living in the property that they just don't want to leave. But there's another tenant in queue waiting to move in, so they have to. But don't forget that dealing with an eviction is not the easiest thing ever. It is a sensitive matter, so it should be your last resort. There are other solutions to encourage the tenant to move out willingly without all the show that comes with the eviction. But we will talk about those options on a different episode. So, why you should have it as a last resort is because of the costs. It can be minimum couple thousands of dollars or more depending on the state. And yes, in most of the states you can pass the cost of the eviction to the tenant, but if they didn't pay for the rent on time, do you really think they will pay for the costs of the process in no time? I don't know. Debatable. But they'll have to in some states. Also, it will take several weeks for the entire process to finalize. So you will waste your most precious and finite asset resource, which is time. Other inconveniences like cost of cleaning, repairs, or just retouch the property for future tenants. There are also costs that you would like to avoid, and you could probably do that by having a great tenant screening process. But let's say that somehow you overlook certain red flags because of the pressure of the urge of having a tenant in the property. Probably the fact that they kept changing their jobs would have been a good indicator that at one point they won't be able to pay the rent, but you overlooked that and now you have to deal with an eviction. It's okay. Relax. Don't beat up on yourself, because in real estate we have a saying, which is it's not a matter of if you will have to file for an eviction, but when. It's inevitably, at one point you will have to deal with an eviction, so it's okay. You will be able to do it. Don't worry. So my first advice when having to deal with an eviction is getting professional help in working with a lawyer. Obviously, you are a professional already if you're a property manager and you know your laws, but to avoid any issues, make sure you work with a lawyer. Don't change the locks until a judge decides that he can take back control of the property, and on the same note, don't touch their belongings. So first step is to send a pay or quit notice. And for the timing of the notice, you should check your local laws. If the tenant will not cure the pay or quit notice, you should send them the eviction notice. In the same time, when you send the eviction notice, you should file in court for the actual eviction and prepare all the documents that you might need, such as leases and addendums, additional disclosures, copies of the notices that you served and when, and your communication with the tenant. And hopefully you have that by email or messages. You really need to have a written communication. It's okay to call them, but make sure that you follow up with an email stating the same things that you said over the phone. After you file for the eviction, the court will assign a hearing date. In most states, only the landlord or the representative has to appear in front of the judge. But be prepared, the judge might ask for a second hearing if he's not convinced. If you win, hooray! That's the desired outcome in this situation. The court will provide a writ of possession saying that the landlord can take back possession of the property. Well, when this happens, you don't just run to the property and knock the door off and chase out the tenant. No. The procedure in most states is as follows. A sheriff will deliver the writ of possession to the tenant between 10 and 40 days after the decision. So you see why I started by saying that this should be your last resort, because it is time that you are wasting. Nobody can give you back that time. Yes, they might give you back the money, but they will not give you back the time that you are wasting on that. It can take up to 40 days. After that, you have to schedule the lockout day. The tenant should be leaving the property willingly. If not, the sheriff can move the tenant by force. Oopsie, not nice. But if it has to happen, it's not your fault. Have a locksmith there to change the locks. You don't want them to come back and play the game of Tom and Jerry and call again the sheriff. Yeah, you don't want that. So change the locks. And don't touch their possessions until you know your state's laws on what to do with them. After you figure that out, you can now start doing the cleaning, the retouches or repairs needed, and have it ready for the future tenant. So, eviction is not something that you should take lightly, but you can't sit back and start crying, can you? Well, you can, but we are all about finding solutions. So, you have the solution. Last resort. You can handle this. Alright guys, if you enjoyed today's episode, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe for future videos. And down below you will see my email address in case you need to reach out, or in case you have a property in Tampa, Florida that needs to be managed by a high standards company who would take care of your property as is their own. Alright guys, until next time, have a great day!